Hi everybody, it's Carrie and welcome back to another video. You guys can't tell, but it is chaos in my room right now. Like, I have so much stuff everywhere because technically when I'm filming this, it is pretty much right before the market. It is October 3rd. Of course, you guys are gonna see this much later than October 3rd, but I do have my big market October 5th, and as I was sitting down and like trying to get things together, I was like, okay, if I don't record this today, I'm definitely not gonna record this tomorrow. I'm gonna forget. I'd rather just, like do it all, be able to put things away, and then tomorrow not have to worry necessarily about tagging all these items and like doing all this stuff. So I'm trying to do it today since I am doing some setup tomorrow afternoon as well. So if you guys don't know me, my name is Carrie. I run Traveling Pony Studios, which is a small crochet business, and I run this YouTube channel here as well. I do all types of videos like this where it's like crochet, like what I crocheted in a week videos, and then like crochet with me vlogs, and then I've been getting some great questions, and I actually can't tell you if this is going to come out before or after the video that I'll do on the stores. I've been getting a lot of good questions about like stores, all this type of stuff. I feel like I've been in them kind of enough to give my opinions on it now. I didn't want to do too much like when I first moved in because I didn't know how it would really go, but I've been in stores for a couple of months now, and I definitely think that it's not all rosy and sunshine and everything that you might think it is. So I'll be also doing some videos, but like I said, I don't know if this will be out before or after, like it's been chaos, so I have no idea. Today's video is just gonna be going over everything like I crocheted this week. Of course, this is like not everything because I still have a lot of stuff I'm trying to get done. I've got like 4 more dragons that I need to sew. I've got more sheep. I've got roses and everything that I'm trying to finish up. And then I have this absolutely massive head that I wanted to make one more kind of pattern that was gonna be a little bit bigger. And I was like, okay, I have like a moose, a deer, or an otter. And so everyone was like, oh, the otter's pretty cute, right? And so then I started, working through it, and I was like, oh my god, this otter is massive. As you can tell, the head is like, what? I don't know. I started working on it, and I was like 60 stitches on the head. You gotta be kidding me. I'm really hoping it looks cute because like right now it's like, of course it's not cute to me, but I think like that's an ear. So I also have that I'm trying to finish up. It's chaos. But today's whole point is let's go over the things that I have crocheted and finished in the past 5 days, basically, because it is actually technically kind of like 4 or 5 because it is Thursday, and I think I recorded my previous crochet in a week video Sunday, so take that as you will. But let's get started. So what I have here is just basically 2 more Yodas. I had made 6 in total, and then I had like 4 done last week. These are just the last 2. And then of course I realized like after I got through the Yodas that I didn't do the little like, I don't know, cape, whatever, back loop stitch thing. So I did go back through. I did it on all of them. So now they are actually like all complete. Before they were just kind of like hanging with no little bordering. So I have 2, so I'll have 6 in total. I have another one of these little ducks in a tube. So I have 1 mallard, and then I'll have 2 of the yellow ducks. This is just a color of a tube I've never done before, but I have so much turquoise, and I just don't really use the color that much. Like, I actually really like the color, but I feel like so many of my items don't really use turquoise. It's kind of like blue. Like, I do get away with using blue more now with like whales and squids and turtles. This turquoise color isn't something that I normally use, so I decided I wanted to use it for the little tubey. So we'll see how well it is received. The blue color, dark blue one, seems to be the one that is the most popular in terms of tube color. Granted, I also just want to use up this turquoise because I have so much of it, and so much of it is not great quality. It's quite stiff, so I'm trying to like get rid of it so I can hopefully maybe get like a few skeins of like better quality, because I always find it in store and I can always go in person and pick up this color, but it's like I have still so much that I bought, like, it's probably a year ago that I bought a 12 pack. So that just shows you, versus there's so many other colors that I buy 12 packs of, and I have to rebuy, like, usually every 3 months I have to buy 12 more of that color plus what I get at stores. So turquoise is just not normally a color I use. So I did try and use it at least for the little tubie here. So I have 2 more of my cows. This is just a lavender cow. This is a flower crown cow. Essentially just getting me back up to the 2 that I like to have in stock. Of course, I know that like both of these are technically in stores. This is in a separate store. This is in 3 stores. So, you know, if I happen to sell any there, at least I'll have some back stock if they don't sell. But I do find that these 2 are the 2 variations of this pattern that do the best for me, alongside the Sakura. I've said before, the Daisy version, which is the green version, just isn't really that popular. And part of that could be the Daisy cow that I have. I was doing it in a different style of ears and everything. So maybe people don't like that. I don't know. If you guys ever want to know basically how I do the ears now on these guys, my original pattern has it where the ears are like 2 separate pieces. You have the pink inside and then the outer ear. I did that for a while and they sell really well like that, but when I'm trying to cut off timing, then I don't do the pink. So I just basically do the same thing. It's still magic ring, the increases, and then the SC1 increase. And then you just fold it off and do the 3 versus having that pink and then doing the crocheting around the pink and the brown. So I have these 2. I have one of my little sharks now. I originally had put down 4 because I had none left, but I made it to 3. I think really you know, of course I love my even numbers, but then I've never actually sold one of these at a market. I didn't really feel like the need to push myself per se. This happened with a few items. It happened with a loaf cat, and it happened with 4 fuzzy bees and some other things where I was just like, you know, I'm not really selling it that much. So do I really want to make it when I have so many other items? Like, I'll try and show you guys what my current situation looks like, but I basically have 9 boxes full of plushies. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I'm okay if I don't have everything. So I just have 3 of these guys. I'll be interested to see if I sell any at this market, because like I said, I've never sold one before in a market. I have 2 of the little tigers, and as I say every single time, you guys want to know about the tiger pattern. It is by Haru Crochet, and it's under the No Sew fluff balls. I think every single video I do, I get this question about the tigers or like the little mini elephants, or I don't even know, some of the other things that I do. And every single video I say the pattern and where it's from. And every single video I get a comment asking where the pattern is because people can't find it. I'm gonna say it again. I said it in the last video. It's the No Sew Fluff Balls by Haru Crochet. You can't find it on the Google Doc. Do a quick little look on Etsy or a quick little look on Instagram from Haru Crochet and you will find them. I bought the most expensive bundle, which I think was like $30-something to have them all. But I get this question all the time, and at first I was fine with it, and I am fine with it still, but it does irk you after like I don't know how long. And then the last video I did, I even specifically said the same thing, and I still got questions. I don't know. But I have 2 of these to get up to 6, and I already know that if I have 1 left over, it's gonna go to a Clemson football game. I have 1 of the Diddy Dex dragons. I actually have 4 more to make over here. So this is just a turquoise one, like I was saying. I was trying to use up some of the turquoise colors, and so I had enough to make this out of like scraps of the turquoise yarn. So I went ahead and did that. So I think in total, by the time I finish sewing up the other ones, I'll have 6 in total, which I think last market I brought 5 and I only had 1 left. This is a little, I mean, I don't mind this pattern at all, but it does require a lot of sewing. So if you're somebody who doesn't like to sew, I would not recommend this pattern. But I do think they do come out pretty cute. I mean, they are pretty stinking adorable, but there is a lot of sewing, so you just have to keep that in mind. Now let's go over some of the new patterns. I have 2 of these seals, and this is not technically a new pattern. I've technically done this once, and I think that was like beginning of the year. I did it, like I made one and then it sold at that market. And I got so frustrated with the face. I was like, you know what? This is just not really worth it to me. Like, I'm not gonna do this. And then when I was sitting down trying to decide what I was gonna do for this market, I was like, you know what? I don't have any seals, and my variety of animals that I don't have is technically getting very limited. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make the seals because like I don't have any. And so the facial expressions are always the hardest thing. My mother, who I've mentioned before, helps me a lot with sewing and especially embroidery like this. You can tell this one, I just call him, he's a little cheeky. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that like Debbie Ryan meme where she's kind of like doing that smirk. This is the Debbie Ryan seal, and then this guy, he's a little bit more just like normal, but I do have these two, so technically a new pattern, but technically I've done it once. These are also one of the new patterns that I'm doing. So I have a new hedgehog that I'm gonna test out. So this was the first one I made. I made this one in a 5mm hook. No. If you do this pattern, do not do a 5mm hook. I am like, please do not, because here's the problem. They use a loop stitch, which is fine because I have lots of experience doing loop stitches now. You'll see in the next couple ones. This one, you actually, as you're crocheting, you're doing the loop stitch with a single crochet versus the other one, you crochet the entirety of the body and then you go back through and then you slip stitch the loop stitches. So this one, you're actually like, as you're crocheting, doing the loop stitch. Here's the problem with that. Your tension is going to get off, and oh my god, I have really tight tension. I don't know if you guys can see, I don't really miss too many stitches. Like, I like it very tight. This was horrible for me, and I kept trying to have tight tension, but it was so difficult because you have this loop stitch, and so like if you accidentally pull another stitch too tight, then it pulls that loop and kind of takes it with it and then loosens the stitches. So the holes were atrocious. So I did a 5mm on this guy, and I had to basically go back through and sew everything closed on the back because it was like so bad. And if you looked at it, you could see all the holes. It's not perfect. There's still like some holes, but I think it's at least somewhat passable now, but it made me so upset. So then these two I did are in a 4mm hook. So they came out like a little bit smaller, but honestly, like not that much smaller when everything is considered. The holes are very minimal. Like, I think you can get away with basically not really having to sew that much. I think I still had to sew a few on the decreasing stitches, but in general, like the amount you had to sew was tremendously less than a 5mm hook. I don't necessarily consider this like a beginner pattern. I think it might be marketed as a beginner pattern. I wouldn't consider it to be a beginner pattern. The main reason being the loop stitches. I just think that it would be very difficult for somebody who isn't very comfortable, and honestly it was quite difficult for me. Now granted, once I figured it out, and especially with this other thing that I'm doing that has a lot of loop stitches, I got used to it, but it was very mind-blowing. So I don't know how beginner friendly this is. I did make them. There are 3. I used to have a hedgehog, and really the main reason I stopped with it was because it was just really tedious. Now this is very tedious too, don't get me wrong. It has a lot of loop stitching. Anytime you have to loop stitch like every single stitch, it's gonna take more time than like not having to do it, but I wanted something a little bit smaller. So these guys are a little bit smaller, and I think for me personally, they are cuter than the other hedgehog, but the other hedgehog had like a different vibe, and granted, I say that and I sold every single one of them, so it's not like they were bad. I just didn't particularly enjoy it. I do think if these guys sell and if I remake this pattern, I am probably going to crochet and then go back afterwards and do the loop stitches. I feel like that will be a much better situation for me personally than like doing this again, because this was just too much. It was so annoying. I was so frustrated. Not worth it at all. But I do have these 3, at least they came out cute, and I know that if they sell, I know how I'm going to change it to be better next time. Since we're talking about the loop stitches, let's go over this guy. I have 2 of these sheeps in this color, and then I have 1 in this color, and I'm finishing up the second one right now. I just have to do a few more loop stitching rounds, and then I'll have another gray one done. So I have 3 of these sheep, and this is a new pattern as well. I realized I don't have any sheep, I don't have any goats, which seems quite bizarre to me. And so I did some looking and found this pattern, and it is pretty cute. Now granted, same thing, it has loop stitches, it takes a while. I'm not gonna deny that, but there are kind of two different ways I think I see a lot of sheeps, and one of them is like either bobble stitches or one of them's loop stitches. When you first do the loop stitch, it is like absolutely mind-boggling and mind-blowing, but then after I've done like 6 of them, I figured it out. But it's definitely very intimidating, and the hedgehog was the pattern that I learned it on, and the tutorial was in Russian, so I kind of figured it out, winged it a little bit, and then I did these guys. And the slip stitch is much easier than the single crochet in my opinion with the loop stitch. So I do have these 3. Like I said, I have one more of this gray, but this is also a new pattern, and they seem fairly well received. I posted them on my Facebook that I post my previews, and I already have somebody who is going to purchase 2 of them. Whether it will be these 2 or it will be 2 after the market that I just have to remake, I don't know. They can't come to the market, so they're gonna pick them up next week. So I was like, okay, well, if I have any left, you can have one. If not, I'll just remake it. So it ended up working out great. And the last thing I have is this goat. Same thing, I noticed I don't have any goats, and I decided to make a goat. Now granted, this is not a small pattern, it required a ton of sewing, but I do kind of like to have a few big ones, and it's been, I would say, a long time since I've done a big pattern, because I have taken a step back from customs, and I don't typically go out of my way to do a lot of big patterns. So I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna see if I still have it. Like, you do so many small repeat things that you don't really ever push yourself or try to do much. So I did all the sewing on this guy. I typically do all the sewing for larger pieces or for pieces that are custom work, as opposed to the smaller guys that is just nice and simple. I'll let someone else do it, but I did do everything, and I have this little blue flower just to give it a little bit of pop of color, and I did it where it was head was kind of turning a little bit opposed to like dead on, because it was kind of, it looked a little weird when it was just straight and dead on. So it has a little bit of a turn, like a little turn of the head. And I decided to do this color because I didn't really have a really warm brown for Chanel Home Slim. I did this. I definitely am hoping to make more. I hope it's a popular pattern, because I do think it's pretty cute, but fair warning, if you decide to do this pattern, a lot of sewing. Horns, ears, nose, head to body, tail, and luckily the legs you do the crocheting thing, but it is a good deal of sewing. So everybody, that is basically everything that I have kind of finished up as of right now. Of course, like I said, I've got dragons, I've got a mouse over there that I need to figure out what I'm doing with. I got lambs, I got this potential otter. Like, there's still more things. Oh, and flowers. So there's still more things that I have to try and finish up in a day. I'm gonna try my best to finish up as much as possible, and who knows? Maybe if I have time, I'll go a little crazy. I'm gonna do a very quick flip after I do my outro. So I'm gonna do my outro and then stick around, and I'll show you kind of the situation. But I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and now let me show you the outro. So that is a box that evidently is way too full, so we'll have to move something. Behind that is another box with large items. There's another box, cow box. That box is like lights and stuff. Small items. This is chicks, witch cats. Some of the stuff from today, sharks, flamingos, dragons, and turtles, whales, squids, da-da-da-da. That's kind of the chaos. This is not even all the items, so I'm gonna have to at least take that box and probably one more full plushies. So I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. I'll see you next time.